2 from 2, guys. 7 goals scored, none conceded. And last night, we finally saw a man walk up the Camp Nou that this whole club has been waiting for weeks for. Welcome back to What's Up Barca, and welcome back to the family, guys. Barcelona 2, Athletic Club 0. And there's a lot to unpack from that one. Now, I'll be honest with you straight away. I predicted 4-0 in my preview. So, I got that wrong, hands up. But I also told you Fermín López would score. And Fermín López scored. So, I'll take that one. Thank you very much. And if you called 2-0 in the comments, come and find me, because I want to know who nailed it absolutely clear. Because we saw a debut we've been waiting for weeks. We saw our captain do it again. We saw Fermín López basically turn into a striker. There's a bit of poetic justice involving an old transfer target for us too. And there's one name who sat on the bench all night and never moved. So, get comfortable and let's go through all of it. But if we do indeed begin with the game itself, this was one-sided from the very first whistle, and I mean completely one-sided. Look at the numbers, guys, because they tell you everything. 70% ball position, 70. 10 shots on target, and 0 for Athletic. 0. And the expected goals, 3.91 for Barca, and 0.5 from them. That is total control. And Athletic, I have to say it, were toothless. Genuinely toothless going forward. They came to the Camp Nou. They sat in, they defended in numbers, and they offered almost nothing. Not a single shot on target across the whole 90 minutes. So credit to our defense. But that's a worrying watch if you're an Athletic supporter. In your new manager's second game, after losing an opener, this is how he plays? But here's the honest part, guys, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. For a long stretch of the first half, we couldn't find a breakthrough. And we normally do under Hansi Flick. This team has been famous for starting fast, scoring inside the opening 15 minutes, over and over across the whole 2 seasons. And that didn't happen here. And you could feel the tension creeping in, because when we don't score early, sometimes we get frustrated. We lose our sharpness, and the opponent settles very much. That's exactly what was starting to happen. Athletic were getting comfortable, and the longer it stayed 0-0, the more you're thinking this could turn into one of those nights. And then Pedri happened, because this is why Pedri is Pedri. He picks the ball up near the halfway line. Nothing on, no obvious danger whatsoever. He turns away from the marker. He drives forward, and then he threads the most perfect pass you'll see this season. Straight through the Athletic defense. And that pass didn't just create a goal. It broke the whole game open. That's what a world-class midfielder does. When everything's stuck, he finds the one thing nobody else on the pitch can see. And on the end of it, our captain, Raphinha, times the run perfectly. And I mean absolutely perfect. Then, look at what he does. He doesn't panic. He doesn't blast it. He goes around Unai Simon, calm as anything, and passes it into an empty net. That is center forward play, guys. That's a man playing through the middle who now looks completely natural doing it. 37 minutes, 1-0, and the whole game started to change after this. And that's Raphinha's 3rd goal of the season already in 2 games, wearing that armband, by the way. I said it in my preview, and I'll say it again every single week. This man was born to be our captain. Every time he wears it, he leads by doing. He doesn't need speeches. He just goes and decides football matches. But if we're talking about the man who kept knocking, we'll have to talk about Fermín López, because he was one of the best players on the pitch by a mile. And what stood out most for me wasn't even the goal. It was the work rate, guys. The guy ran all night. He never stopped pressing, never stopped moving. And here's the thing that made me laugh. Fermín was taking more shots than our actual attackers. He was just shooting. That's a midfielder who completely decides that goals are now part of his job. And you love to see that, because when Flick's front line is being kept quiet, Having someone arriving from that deep who's desperate to score is exactly what breaks team down. And then in the 82nd minute, we got the moment of the night. And oh, this one's beautiful, guys, because remember our summer. Remember when we spent weeks talking about Aymeric Laporte, the center back we wanted, the profile we said we needed, and Athletic slapped 18 million euros on him, and we walked away. Well, Laporte makes a complete mess of the back pass, an absolute mess of it. And who's standing in the box, sniffing around, waiting for exactly that type of opportunity? Fermín López. Of course it is. Taps it in. 2-0, game over. 3 goals in 2 games for Fermín now. And that, my friends, is what we call football justice. 80 million euros. He hands us the second goal at the Camp Nou. And I could not have written that any better than this. And listen, while we're all enjoying this one, if you're new here, comment this properly. This channel is home for people who don't just watch Barca, who feel Barca. The ones who grew up watching Messi, who still get chills thinking about the number 10, and who want to talk about the club in a different level. So hit the subscribe, join the family, and let's be a community. But now, the moment a lot of you guys were waiting for, because in the 63rd minute, Hansi Flick made a change, and Rodri came on for Raphinha. Rodri at the Camp Nou in our shirt, a World Cup winner, a Ballon d'Or winner, the best defensive midfielder on the planet, officially a Barcelona player, officially playing for us. And after everything this summer, the bids, the rejection, City saying no, Madrid thinking they had him, to actually see him walk on the pitch in our colors. That's a moment, guys. That's a proper moment. And what I love about this timing is, Flick didn't rush him. 63 minutes, under the control. 1-0 up, no pressure. Let him feel the pitch, let him hear the crowd, let him see his legs. Going after that back operation. That's exactly how you introduce a signing. And Dani Olmo came on at the same time, which tells you Flick had a clear plan for the second half. Now, let me give you the honest concerns too, because I'm not here to tell you everything was perfect. The first one was our finishing. 10 shots on target, 3.91 expected goals, and we scored 2. Against Elche, we were absolutely ruthless. This time, we weren't. We created chances after chances, and we weren't clinical enough. And that's the difference between a comfortable night and a nervous one. Because a 0-0 for 30 minutes, one moment could have changed everything. And that's the second thing. We were in real danger of this staying scoreless. Athletic had one big scare in them. Sancet absolutely smashed the post from the distance in the second half. And that was the remainder. At 1-0 against a team defending that deep, you always one mistake away from a completely different result. So yes, dominant, yes, deserved, yes, but we made harder work for it to succeed. We made it hard for us than last game. But indeed, we talked about who played, so now let's talk about who didn't, because Alejandro Balde was there, guys. He was on the bench. He never moved. Now remember, against Elche, he wasn't even in the squad. And Flick came out afterwards and said he didn't feel Balde was mentally ready. So this time, he's back in the squad. But he still didn't get a single minute. And Flick instead gave us Xavi, a left back again, and brings on Cancelo and Koundé late on. And I think that's the clearest message yet. Because being at the bench and not playing when your team is 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go, that's not fitness thing. That's not a fitness thing. That's a manager telling you exactly where you stand. So, with this window basically being shut, the question now is, what happens to him? Does he fight his way back in? Or has he already been decided? Has his future already been decided to go to an English club? Or no? And I have to mention one more name on that bench, guys, because I love this one. Hamza Abdul Karim was there, guys. The young Egyptian who tore up the preseason. 4 goals in 5 preseason games, including one at the Johan Gamper trophy match. He's in around the first team now, sitting on the bench on a big night. He didn't get on. That's fine. Don't rush him at all. But his moment is coming. And when it does, this place is going to love him absolutely so much. So what does this all mean? It means 2 games, 2 wins, 7 goals scored, 0 conceded. Not a single goal against us yet this season. and we still haven't signed a center back yet. It means Fermín is 3 goals in 2 games. It means our captain is on 3 as well. And it means Pedri is already coming back and controlling games. And it means Rodri has finally arrived and is only getting sharper. And remember, we finished last season with a perfect home record. And now we've picked up right where we left off in our return at the Camp Nou. That's a habit. That's a mentality. And next up, Rayo Vallecano at home on Monday. And I'll be here beforehand with the full Barcelona pre-match preview for you guys. So now I want to hear from you. Who was the man of the match for you? Pedri for that pass, Raphinha for the finish and leadership, or Fermín for that work rate and the goal? Were you as calm as I was in the first half, or were you getting nervous too? And what did you make of that Rodri cameo? How excited are you now? And be honest, who called the 2-0? Because I said 4-0 and I was wrong. But I got Fermín to score and I'll take the half point. Drop it all in the comments. I read every single comment. Thank you for being here. Let's enjoy this one properly as we deserve. And until next time, guys, as always, Visca el Barça.